This video is looking at a magazine game from Command number 4, Lion of Ethiopia. And this is basically an operational level game of the Italian invasion of Ethiopia in 1935 and 1936. And it's a fairly standard game, but you do have somewhat asymmetrical forces. However, the Ethiopians do have the value of having terrain in their favor. It's a very basic game as far as it's very standard in the sequence of play. For example, the Italian player goes first, has reinforcement, movement, combat, airstrike. And then the Ethiopian player has reinforcement, movement, and combat, and then end of turn phase and go into the next turn. Now, I believe that these turns represent about 10 days per turn, so three turns make up a month of time in this game. The Italians do have sea movement potential. They also have airstrike potential and ground support potential from their aircraft. They can build temporary airfields, so that's included in the game. There's also the ability to build fortifications and, I should say, entrenchments. There's supply that has to be maintained in the game, and there are rules for headquarters units. And the Italian headquarters basically can provide artillery support in addition to other things. There are withdrawals that can happen in the game, and the victory is just basically determined by occupying the needed geographic objectives. Either side can accomplish this. It is interesting too, there was one optional rule included in the game that's kind of interesting. It's called the League of Nations. And it says once per game at the start of his reinforcement phases, the Ethiopian player may call on the League of Nations to intervene in the conflict. To do so, he rolls a die and consults the following table. And on a 1 to 5, the League notes or deplores or denounces the invasions. Sanctions are applied, but it has no effect on play. I think that's probably what happened historically. They didn't really hit the Italians where it hurt. However, if you roll a 6, various member states of the League agree to sell arms and ammunition to Ethiopia cut rate. The Ethiopian player receives one non-headquarters unit of his choice from the dead pile as a replacement, and the unit appears at Addis Ababa or at a hex of its original place or appearance if it's still Ethiopian controlled. So, I mean, that's the biggest effect you can get is one unit. But so it's a low cost flavor thing to throw into the game. It is an optional rule, though. There are some other ones too. I'm not going to go into all of them. Another thing I'll mention, there is a very detailed historical designations of the units, so you can know exactly what the unit is representing. Historically, that's excellent. An unfortunate thing is the combat results table and the airstrike table are not on the map. However, the turn record track is, and the terrain effects chart is. But it would have been nice, to not have to paw through the book. And I think what I did is photocopied this. Anyway, I'm going to take a brief look at the game. I probably won't play the whole thing out here, but I will show you what I have for a few turns. So the first turn represents October 1st through the 10th of 1935. And what we see in this first picture is General Graziani's army headquarters, poised, launching an attack against the Army of the East. You will note that they have some air support there, and in this case, the air support is used as ground support. So what this does is the ground support factors are added to come up with the combat ratio, but also there is a positive column shift on the combat results table. They're also going in here against entrenchments, and these entrenchments represent temporary field works, and these give the defender a leftward column shift. And the fact that the artillery, that the headquarters is involved, is showing that there's additional combat support that's along with the headquarters. And generally, this includes not only supply, but also additional artillery for combat support. So in this case, the Ethiopians ended up falling back. During the same period, there's another attack going on, shown in this next picture, where you see General Debosa's army with General Badoglio's headquarters, corps headquarters, attacking the village of Adawa. And again, you'll see ground support is used again from Italian aircraft. And again, this forces another defender retreat. The Ethiopians are not just sitting idly by, and in our next picture, we see the Ethiopians are constructing entrenchments, and they're setting these up in a strategic location along a track where there is a junction of rivers at Jijiga. And then in this final picture, we have the Bekember army, which is setting up a defense near Ras Dashan. So all in all, this is what I would expect to have happened in the opening turn of this game. The Italians have certainly a weapons advantage here, so we're going to see them make some progress. So we go on to turn 2. This is October 11 through 20, 1935. And as you would expect, the United Nations condemns Italy, but to no avail, really. Actually, it would have been the League of Nations, not the United Nations. Slip of the tongue there. So the Italians continue their offensive, and in this next picture, we see the Italian 2nd Corps attacking at Abi Adi, and again, this is dispatched very easily, and it's captured. Then General Graziani's army attacks the Afawork formation, which you can see is blocking the road. And again, the Italians have air support, which really makes the obstacle of the Ethiopian formation a lot less formidable. And it's moved out of the way and the road is cleared. And then this last photo is showing an overview. You can see Adawo at the lower right corner of the picture. This kind of gives you a portion of the map where you see Debosa's army moving through the village of Adawa. Then we go ahead to turn 3. It's October 21st through 31st of 1935. And the Italian 2nd Corps, again, is active as shown in the photograph here, along with the Ascaro Corps headquarters. And these engage along the road toward Dessie, where the Ethiopian unit that you see engaged here disintegrates. Then I had Graziani's headquarters poised to move in this next picture, and you see Italian bombers are sent in to perform an airstrike versus these entrenchments, and they do manage a disruption. So, because that's going to weaken the defensive position there, and it takes time and effort to get units out of disruption. This next picture gives an overview, and you see a General De Bono's headquarters on the right, and he's got forces engaged. And then on the left, you have the Italian 2nd Corps and the Ascaro Corps headquarters, which are in the process of securing that road off to the left. Now we're on to turn 4, and this is November 1st through the 10th of 1935, and the League of Nations is now taking some actions. They are imposing sanctions against Italy, and the Ethiopians are continuing to mobilize a large army, though we'll admit they are largely unequipped. And historically, around this time, Mussolini replaced General De Bono with General Badoglio because De Bono was just moving too slowly for his desire. In our first picture that we have, we're seeing General Graziani's army headquarters attacking an entrenched position. And because the headquarters is nearby here, they have headquarters artillery fire, but also you'll notice some Libyan bombers coming in to provide ground support, and as a result, the Ethiopian battalion is destroyed. Due to this slow progress, the Italians have intensified their air campaign. So here's an example of an airstrike that is going in against Dolo. And you'll notice there's no cover in this village, so there's no entrenchments, nothing. And as a result, this unit is completely eliminated. Our next picture shows Graziani's headquarters again, and you can see the advance that it is making on the village of Harar. And then in our last picture for this turn, we have show the area around Addis Ababa, and you've got the Ethiopian engineers units building a number of field fortifications and field entrenchments to try to set up a perimeter of defense against the Italian onslaught that is expected. So that brings November 10th, 1935 to a conclusion. So turn 5 is November 11th through 20th of 1935, and I decided here to include a photo of General De Bono, who has been fired by Mussolini, and then his replacement is General Badoglio, who has been installed. And in this game, they share a counter, so they have the DE stands for De Bono on the counter, and then the BO stands for Badoglio, who takes over. In our first photo of the map here, this is showing the 2nd Corps making an attack near the village of DC. And you can see that the 30th Infantry Division and the 9th Infantry Division of the Italians is start making a little bit of a flanking maneuver by moving into the hills. And then, air power is still playing somewhat of a role, but so this turn, not much happened. I mean, everything missed. But in this last photo here, there is a depiction of a temporary airbase that has been built in Carré, which has been controlled by the Italians, and this will provide more potential for air support in the local theater. We are now at turn 6, which is November 21st through 30 of 1935, and we're starting off with a picture here with General Badoglio continuing his attack near Abiy Adi, and this attack is repulsed. Also, you see that there's another temporary airbase, which I have under construction as the Italians along the roadway to get some air support closer. In this next picture, you see some fighters have actually been rebased to the other temporary airbase that I built in Carré. And then finally, another attack was launched by the 2nd Corps. You can see it has complete air support with 2 ground strike unit missions, but the Italians are repulsed anyway. And so things are really bogging down for the Italians against their Ethiopian defenders. And in the meantime, the Ethiopia just continues to raise more and more reinforcements. They're brittle, but there are a lot of them. So it's making things difficult for the Italians. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned if you'd like to see more. Have a great day.